I figured I'd give everyone a jump on the holidays by making one Mr. Grinch. In case you haven't heard, he's as cuddly as a cactus and as charming as an eel. To make the interior of the Grinch, I'm using aluminum foil this time to try it out. And yes, I realized I had made an actual foil hat when I was done. After getting the shape right with the foil, I applied some blue painter's tape because the filament won't stick to the foil itself. I kept shots of these taping sequences to a minimum because who likes to watch tape? I'm also trying something a little different in this video where I have a running Projeci Time counter in the upper left corner. This is basically the total amount of time the project is taking. After the head and hat are all taped up, now we start to add the filament in. Yet another new thing I'm trying in this video is I'm laying the initial filament down in kind of a mesh structure to try to make it easier to get that base layer down. Here's the completed red mesh of the hat. This is changing filament from red to white so we can make the bottom of the hat. Same idea here, I'm going to lay down a mesh structure for the initial white layer. These parts really start to have a wireframe look, which I thought was pretty neat. This is the hat with all the mesh structure in place. You can see that we're about 1.5 hours into the project. I am the Grinch. Same idea with the head portion, I make a mesh structure for this. This may seem like an eternity of me making lines, but I cut out a ton. Here's the finished green mesh. Kinda trippy, I thought. Mesh hat and head together, and we're 2 hours total into the project. Now we're gonna tackle those devious eyes. I lay down the base layer pretty quickly because I know that I'm gonna do some smoothing and trimming later to get them the right size and shape. This is the smoothing, which I'm taking care with because everybody focuses on the eyes. And you also notice that I oversized the base layer so that I could trim down to get my final shape. After a little final wood burning, you'll see that I once again mix methods and use some markers to get the very fine details. I've mentioned this in a few of my other videos, but I could try to use a 3D pen to make these features, but I found that the fine tipped markers have these details come out way better. You're a me. Sorry. Now we get to see if laying down this mesh structure pays off. It does make laying down the base layer easier, but on the other hand, it leaves more ridges. So in the end, I guess it's kind of a wash. Here I'm just using my handheld torch to get rid of any little wisps of filament. This is the full red base layer of the hat. And I'm also going to zoom in so you can really see how rough it is. So now we have to smooth this mess out. For that, I turn to my wood burning tool. I recently released a how to smooth 3D pen creation video where I go into a lot more of these details. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the upper right corner. After the first round of wood burning, I do some sanding. And this is a close-up of the results of the sanding. Kinda creepy. Then I have to go back in with a 3D pen and fill in a lot of the holes and low areas. And this is what that looks like. It kind of looks like it has a rash. Here's the close-up. I've skipped a step of doing a lot more sanding to get rid of the rash. This is the final round of wood burning, and you can see that the surface is really smooth now. Okay, slight aside, I caught the Grinch in a stare-down contest with Groot. I still don't know who won. Laying down the base white layer on the hat worked the same way, so we'll move through that quickly. One of the most interesting portions of this project was making the fluffy part of the hat. To me, one of the most interesting things about a 3D pen is that you can get such different textures out of it. I'm using the furry texture that you can get out of the pen and really building it up to make it look super fluffy. Here I'm just applying that to the fluffy part at the tip of the hat. Don't forget the simple tricks when using a 3D pen. This is using a simple candle to add the tip. And here's the finished hat. It looks so fluffy, but it's actually rock hard. Oh, and the ghost wanted to wish you all happy holidays as well. This is the beginnings of laying down the base layer for the head. I just thought this was a really nice close-up shot, and it actually is sped up at 2x speed. But yeah, we skipped most of that filling in part. On to the initial wood burning stage. At this point, I was starting to feel like I was making a green rock. Here you can see the low points and voids that need to be filled in. You'll notice that as I'm filling, I'm pushing down with my finger a lot, and that's to try to get everything as flat as possible. Because now I have my rock with a rash, and that needs to get sanded. So I hit it with some really rough sandpaper, and then move into another round of wood burning. You can see that the surface is starting to get fairly smooth. Quick sanity check with the hat. Yep, still sane. Final round of higher grit sanding, followed by the final wood burning. Ooh, that's looking good. It's a nice looking green rock. Here I'm molding the flat eyes to the shape of the face. I'm not actually trying to attach them. Now I'm trying to attach them with one of my favorite tools, Kwik epoxy. The reason I love it so much is that it cures in 5 minutes. So that means I can apply it to the object, put it down, and then still have time to shift it around to get it just where I want it. This is the part of the project where the fear factor really starts to rise. I'm a lot of hours in, and I'm about to start making features that will be really hard to undo. Thus, the pencil. After erasing and redoing a bunch of times, I get the features just the way I want them, and I start in with a permanent marker. And those clips are really sped up. I'm actually going super slow because I don't want to mess up. But I was really pleased with how the face came out. Hopefully you guys like it too. Final step, gluing that on. The fear levels come down considerably now. Here he is, the finished Grinch. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. There, I had to do it. You have no idea how much I had to restrain myself from doing it earlier.
Goose.